All right, Mr. Numbers Man, what can we learn from the history of diamonds? What do people have to take away from this?
First, rollups are powered by capital, not creativity or style points. Love them or hate them, rollups are a tale as old as time. Private equity firms are rolling up everything from HVAC providers to dental offices today, just like De Beers did in the late 1800s using long-duration capital from the Rothschilds. Having patient institutional capital allowed Rhodes to buy distressed operators, survive downturns, and consolidate when others are forced sellers.
Capital structure determines who gets to play offense when markets fragment.
Right you are. Second, not all parts of the value chain are created equal. De Beers didn't win by controlling mining alone, it won by controlling distribution. While it consolidated roughly 50% of mining and production, it controlled closer to 85% of distribution through ownership and contractual leverage via the CSO. And roughly 75% of the industry's markup lived downstream, not at the point of extraction.
The CSO was worth more than the mines ever were.
Much like Amazon, you want to own the last mile. Owning production without controlling distribution fails to optimize for margin. Third, scarcity backed by capital looks permanent until it isn't. Diamonds felt scarce not because they were impossible to produce, but because capital and coordination enforced scarcity for decades. It raises a fair question about modern markets like AI chips, where scarcity today is driven by who controls manufacturing capacity and distribution, rather than by anything fundamentally impossible to make. There are a quadrillion tons of diamonds below the Earth's surface. Capital and coordination kept the lid on for a century. When lab diamonds made that visible, the whole thing unraveled in about a decade. The most dangerous assumption is mistaking capital-enforced scarcity for permanent scarcity.
There's no such thing as a permanent champ.
In diamonds and in boxing. Fourth, price opacity is a moat until technology forces transparency. De Beers economics relied on the fact that diamonds had no transparent market price. There was no ticker, no spot market consumers, no easy comparables. The CSO could administer prices because buyers couldn't easily benchmark what fair value was, and resale was culturally discouraged. Remember, a diamond is forever. If your pricing power depends on customers not being able to compare you, assume that, marketplaces, AI agents, usage-based benchmarks, and procurement platforms will eventually make you comparable. And when pricing becomes transparent, brand premium becomes the only defense.
So in other words, opacity is a temporary moat. Build a real one before it disappears.
Fifth, in 1938, diamonds were optional. By 1950, they were mandatory. N.W. Ayer placed rocks on the fingers of Hollywood's biggest actresses, seeded newspaper ads of celebrities, and then told men that 3 months' salary was the appropriate spend. Before the campaign, ring size varied and budgets were undefined. Afterwards, there was only one acceptable answer. That's what we call demand engineering, and it held for 70 years. The narrative moat was just as important as the supply moat. If you can make your product a cultural expectation rather than a purchase decision, pricing becomes a secondary consideration and sometimes a coveted feature.
Meaning people will actually pay more because everyone else is paying that much. I mean, the price becomes part of the signal. It's wild.
It's crazy. The price becomes part of the product itself. It's what you're buying. 6, the real product was never the diamond. It was risk smoothing. The CSO didn't just sell diamonds, it sold stability. Producers got predictable monetization, so fewer price crashes. Site holders got predictable supply, which meant fewer shortages. And the whole system avoided panic cycles, which is good for everyone. De Beers functioned like a market maker and insurer, absorbing volatility through stockpiles and controlled release. In retrospect, the companies with durable pricing power often aren't the ones with the best product. They're the ones that reduce volatility for customers, make costs predictable, and turn uncertainty into something they manage better than anyone else.
This is basically the whole game in software right now. I mean, the product is almost secondary. It's really all about who removes the most friction and unpredictability from their customer's life. They're going to be the ones that win.
This is why financial primitives win in tech and software. I'm talking about predictable billing, guaranteed capacity, service level agreements, embedded financing, long-term contracts, and usage smoothing and commitment floors. If you can make your customers' world more predictable, you can charge more and churn less, even in competitive markets. So here's a pattern I keep running into when I talk to finance leaders at fast-growing companies. You've outgrown the spreadsheets. You've probably outgrown your billing tools built in RevRec, but you're not quite at the point where you can throw a 20-person team at the problem either. That's exactly the danger zone RightRev owns. RightRev is revenue recognition done right. It handles the messy stuff like high-volume subscriptions, usage-based contracts, and mid-contract upgrades. The things that break your ERP and the billing platform bolt-ons. Here's the thing though, your sales team isn't slowing down for you. They're closing ramp deals, usage commitments, and mid-quarter upgrades. And the longer you wait to fix the engine, the further behind you fall. So stop scrambling at month end and stitching together allocations across 3, 4, 5 spreadsheets to just have the numbers ready. Well, that's it. That's the whole pitch. CFOs tell me it's like a glow up for the revenue books. If that sounds like where you are right now, RightRev is worth the look. Head to rightrev.com/CJ. That's rightrev.com/CJ. Check them out.